Sometimes it feels like you just can't win in Disney World, but that's why you're here. We're going to turn these lose-lose situations right around for you. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Vlog, and I'm so sorry to tell you this, but there are some situations in Disney World where you're going to feel like no matter what you do, you just can't get ahead. Fortunately, we have ways to help you prepare for these so you can A, handle them with as much grace as possible without completely throwing a kink into the remainder of your trip, or B, avoid them entirely. Hopefully, we'll stick with B. So number one, you mastered Genie Plus, but then it went away. Right, the day has finally come. Disney Genie Plus has been banished to 10,000 years in the Cave of Wonders, leaving us with a brand new premium service to learn and master before our next big trip. On July 24th, so like literally just recently, Genie Plus and individual Lightning Lanes became Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Lightning Lane Single Pass, LLMP and LLSP. In several ways, these Lightning Lanes still work the same as before. You'll pay for the ability to skip over attraction lines and enter into much shorter attraction lines. But the difference now is that you'll be able to book a handful of Lightning Lanes before your park visits instead of having to book them one at a time on the day of. Now you can book up to 3 multi-pass Lightning Lanes either 7 days before your visit if you're staying at a Disney-owned hotel, or 3 days before your visit if you're staying off property. The same thing goes for single pass Lightning Lanes, which replaced individual Lightning Lanes. You'll be able to book those a la carte premium rides ahead of your visit too. At the same time, you can pre-select your multi-pass options. So you could potentially be holding on to 4 Lightning Lanes for the parks even before you step foot into them. Now, the one thing you do need to keep in mind about multi-pass selections specifically is that multi-pass uses a tier system. Don't let that scare you though. Tiers are clearly laid out so you can see which rides are on the top tier and which ones are the next tier down. After you've purchased the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, you can only pre-select 1 ride from the top tier of attractions. Your other 2 can be chosen from the next tier. Or in the case of Animal Kingdom, you don't have to worry about tiers at all, since this is the only park that doesn't have a tier system. Just book any 3 multi-pass Lightning Lanes here and call it good. Unlike the Genie Plus service, you'll only be able to book another Lightning Lane after you've redeemed one of your current selections. With Genie Plus, you could make a new selection once you redeemed a Lightning Lane, or you could make a new one 120 minutes after your last selection was made. But alas, the 120-minute rule is a thing of the past now. So long, former Lightning Lane hack, we hardly knew ye. Right now, we got our amazing team of DFB reporters testing out this multi-single pass system so we can uncover all the new tricks and nuance for Lightning Lanes before your trip. So keep checking in on our latest news announcements to see what we discover next. In the meantime, to learn even more about how this new premium service works, be sure to scan the QR code you see on the screen now or head to disneyfoodblog.com/multipass to pick up our brand new and completely free guide to all things multipass and single pass so you can study up and unlearn everything you already knew about Genie Plus. All right, look, we're trying to be the nice guys here. We mobile order our food at a popular quick service, wait for our food to be prepared, pick up the food once it's ready, and then, only then, do we go out to look for a table. But that's not the same game everyone else plays. Sometimes you'll do all the steps right, and you'll still end up out of luck and without a table. Especially when others start seat saving before they get their food, leaving those who actually have their food stranded, standing around with a tray full of sustenance and no place to eat it. We can't control the seat saving actions of others, but what we can control to a certain extent is how to avoid dining at a quick service location when said quick service is packed. Typically, the team and I plan to eat a late lunch or an early dinner around that sweet spot of 2 to 4 p.m. to avoid the lunch and dinner rushes that these quick service locations receive. Or you go right when they open, right at the beginning of the lunch service so that you're one of the first people there to grab a table. If not finding a seat to eat is a huge concern of yours, especially if you desperately need to get off your feet and sit in the AC for a little bit, you might want to go the table service route instead and book an advanced dining reservation somewhere ahead of time. ADRs can be made 60 days before your visit. If you didn't book an ADR, but you're kind of already regretting that as soon as you step into the park, go to your My Disney Experience app and see if you can find any last-minute reservations or walk-up wait lists available to join. The sooner you can look into these last-minute options, the better, since sit-down restaurants will more than likely book up pretty quickly the further you get into the day. So this next one is a super important lesson to learn way before your Disney vacation commences. A high price tag doesn't always equal high quality food. Some Disney restaurants on property charge more for the immersive experience rather than the fine dining, and then other restaurants charge more for the quantity of food rather than the quality of it. And then there are restaurants that are a perfect storm of both, but you still don't have the solid meal you were hoping for. Listen, I've been doing Disney Food Blog for 15 years, so I know how it feels to get hyped up about a restaurant, pay a bunch of money for it, and then feel disappointed by the whole thing. That's why I started DFB in the first place, because I knew people were spending thousands and thousands of dollars on their food when they went to Disney World, and they had no idea what to expect when they got there. So I figured, all right, let's take a bunch of pictures of the food so you can actually see what you're getting. So if you want to learn more about the Disney World dining scene, as well as read up on our most recent reviews and advice and recommendations, check out the DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining over at dfbstore.com, and make absolutely sure to type in code YouTube to save some money on your purchase. Now, just to give you a taste of what you can expect from that guide, let me hit you with the 3 restaurants that have been old, reliable for so many years now. Number 1, Le Cellier at Epcot. The steakhouse is tucked away inside the Canada Pavilion, and even though I've sometimes had a hard time securing reservations if I'm visiting during peak travel season, it's a really small restaurant, so not a lot of tables. It tends to be one of my favorite places to dine and celebrate an anniversary or birthday or life in general. I often take myself there when I'm alone in the parks. Le Cellier serves a lot of classic steakhouse options, as well as a few signature dishes like their loaded poutine and Canadian cheddar cheese soup. And if you need a quiet, comforting escape from all the theme park action, Le Cellier's atmosphere can provide that. Someplace warm and cozy. Sometimes it's just a smidge too warm and cozy though, since those booths can be really close together and really make you feel like you're dining in a wine cellar. Regardless, Le Cellier has been and will continue to be my go-to option if I'm craving a filet or a nice bowl of cheesy soup. Now, reliable restaurant number 2, of course, it's Nomad Lounge at Animal Kingdom. Nomad may be attached to the Tiffin's signature restaurant, but it uses its own walk-up waitlist and seating process. It also has a slightly different menu where you won't have to pay signature meal prices if you don't want to. The menu here is made up of specialty beverages, including lots of fun and exclusive mocktails, as well as a variety of small plates like grilled chicken satay, Tiffin's bread service, and the best churros on property. And old reliable number 3, Sanaa at Animal Kingdom Lodge. The Animal Kingdom Park and Resort are both absolute pros when it comes to serving unique and tasty meals in a stunning dining room setting. Sanaa, in the Kidani Village section of the resort, is a table service where you can enjoy authentic African and Indian-inspired eats next to the windows that look out across the resort's savannah. If you were to look up hidden gem in the dictionary, any of y'all out there still have a physical dictionary, you'd see a picture of Sanaa staring back at you. Since it tends to be out of the way from all the other resorts and parks that are not Animal Kingdom, it's a restaurant that gets overlooked. But if you can make time for it during your visit, this one could really steal the spotlight as far as your Disney dining adventure is concerned. Disney's Yacht and Beach Club is about to hit a really rough patch, and if you don't know exactly what you're getting into, you could still wind up booking a room at either location for thousands of dollars and not receive the benefits you thought you were guaranteed. For the record, this isn't supposed to be a roast session on Yacht and Beach Club. I love Yacht and Beach Club dearly, even if they are both so stinking expensive. But during the first half of 2025, Yacht and Beach will not have one of their biggest selling points open and available for guests, Stormalong Bay. The Stormalong Bay and Shipwreck Pool, which Yacht and Beach Club share, will be temporarily closed for a scheduled refurb starting January 2025 and lasting until June. During that time, you can still visit the leisure pools around the resorts, but you'll be missing out on what's essentially a mini water park in your hotel room's front yard. Not to mention, if you're staying at either of the resorts during the refurbishment timeframe, you may see or hear construction work during the day, which could make afternoon naps a little more difficult. Speaking of construction work, Yacht Club's actually going to be hit with a double whammy of construction. Some guest rooms over at Yacht Club will be under refurbishment at the same time from January through May. I don't know if this means that some of the rooms are going to get an update, a refresh, or a retheme, but something is definitely happening to them early next year that's also going to impact your stay in the first half of 2025. And let's not forget that historically speaking, Disney tends to close the Skyliner for routine maintenance for a week or two around the end of January each year. While a Skyliner refurb schedule hasn't been announced yet for 2025, based on previous year's years, we can almost assume we're going to hear something about it sooner or later. In 2022, the Skyliner was closed from January 22nd to the 28th. In 2023, it was closed from the 22nd to the 29th, and this year it was closed from January 16th to the 26th. So if you thought maybe you'd stay at Yacht and Beach Club around this time to at least get complimentary use of the Epcot Skyliner, then you may very well be out of luck again. Only time will tell. Heaven help those people staying at the Yacht and Beach Club when the Skyliner's closed and Stormalong Bay is closed. That's going to be a rough go. Now, even during all this back-to-back construction, Yacht and Beach Club will still be a solid place to stay if you're wanting to be close enough to Epcot and Hollywood Studios that you can walk to them. However, Disney's Boardwalk Inn also offers up the same sort of benefit, and surely by 2025, we're going to see all the resort's major construction wrapped up and raring to go, fingers crossed. You might also want to abandon the Disney-owned hotels altogether in 2025 for a more affordable option that's still going to put you within walking distance to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. That's the Swan and Dolphin hotels and the Swan Reserve. Let's play a little comparison game here. At the Swan and Dolphin hotels, you're within walking distance to Epcot, a short boat ride away from Disney's Hollywood Studios. You can walk there too, by the way, and complimentary bus transportation to the parks in Disney Springs. A room at these hotels typically ranges between $360 and $475 per night, with no discounts, depending on how fancy you'd like to go. Meanwhile, a room at any of those Disney-owned Epcot area resorts is typically going to cost you $600 plus per night, depending again on the style of room that you choose. Staying at the Swan or Dolphin hotels can give you a similar deluxe Disney hotel experience for hundreds of dollars less, plus you'll still receive deluxe resort benefits like the extended evening hours, which allow you to stay longer in certain parks on certain nights after they close to the rest of the public. Only Disney Deluxe Resort guests get that perk, but so do Swan and Dolphin Resort guests. Now, it's happened to us before, and by golly, it's bound to happen to us again. We waited for what seems like forever to get on a ride, only for it to break down when we're just moments away from getting to the front. There's no sugarcoating it. This is frustrating, as always. Frustrating. And what makes it even more frustrating is that the ride breakdown is something completely out of my control. So here's the situation. We've now got to decide when you should continue to wait things out in line and just cross your fingers that whatever's going on is an easy fix, or when you need to count your losses, dip out, and try again later. First and foremost, as soon as you hear that a ride is closing down, pay attention to the actual ride announcement. Sometimes that can be a little tricky to hear, especially with the multiple conversations going around you, but if there's a cast member nearby, you might be able to ask for clarification. Typically, if you hear a pre-recorded message overhead telling you that the ride has been momentarily delayed, it's a safe bet it'll be a quick fix and nothing you need to be sweating over. This is especially true with many of the continuously moving Omnimover attractions like Spaceship Earth and Epcot or Haunted Mansion and Magic Kingdom, since they're going to stop to let people with mobility concerns onto the ride. Also, if you've scanned into a ride with your Lightning Lane and then the ride goes down before you can board, cast members can typically offer up a ride redemption pass that can be used at other attractions so you don't waste a Lightning Lane on a broken ride. So you'll at least want to stay in line until you can see about getting those redemption passes, if they're going to be available for you to pick up, that is. It's all determined on a case-by-case basis, but you won't want to bail until Disney officially makes that call, one way or another. So when should you wave the white flag and call it quits on a ride? This may go without saying, but if you've got an upcoming dining reservation, then you should probably get out of line so you don't miss it. Because what's worse than wasting your time in a queue for a broken down ride is wasting your time in a queue for a broken down ride and missing your dining reservation, meaning you'll be charged a no-show fee, which is usually $10 per person. If you don't have an advanced dining reservation, but you still don't want to waste your whole day waiting in line for just one ride, set a timer on your phone for how long you're willing to wait for the attraction to go back online. When the timer goes off, it's time to move on. Most of the time, a ride will reopen later on in the day and you'll have another chance to hop back in line, but there's also the chance that a ride may not be back up and running for the remainder of the day, and that really stinks. But the best thing you can do in this kind of scenario is be flexible. I know, not the solve-all answer you were probably looking for, but technical difficulties do happen. The good thing is that for every Disney ride that goes down, there are still dozens of things to see and do around the park that'll remain alive and kicking. So don't allow one ride breakdown to shut you down for the remainder of the day. Just take a deep breath, shake it off, and redirect your group to something else fun to do to make up for that lost time. Now picture this, you and your friends have all moved into your hotel room or your Airbnb and you got a whole vacation laid out in front of you. So in order to maybe save some money and eat out less, y'all hit up the nearest grocery store to stock up the fridge. The idea seems solid. In fact, it's one I've encouraged you to think about before to help you prevent having to spend a lot of money on those Disney restaurants over and over and over again. But this can backfire on you if you and your friends go overboard on the snacks and drinks and other meal prep items like I always do when I stay at an Airbnb, because you could end up spending a lot of money on groceries and never actually use them. Because let's be real here, quick service food can be a whole lot more convenient and keep you from having to do a whole lot of cooking back in your room at the end of a long park day. Now, before you go out on an epic shopping trip with your group, or you order a whole bunch of groceries on a delivery app like Kroger Delivery, make sure you've got a game plan. Shopping for groceries while on vacation isn't like stocking up when you're low on supplies back home. So make sure you only purchase the quantity of food and drink that you know you're going to consume before the end of your trip. The good thing about having tons of grocery stores just outside the Disney bubble and or having those nifty delivery apps downloaded on your phone is that you can always order a second round of essentials mid-vacation. So if you end up actually needing more groceries because you decided to cancel a few of your dining reservations, you can get them. Easy as that. We always recommend Kroger Delivery, by the way. We've used them a ton and it's always good stuff, especially the fruit and veg. Okay, it's been a long day in the parks and your feet are killing you. Good thing you got a Disney bus that'll drop you off near your hotel room so you don't have to worry about walking an extra 1,000-odd steps before you reach your bed, right? Well, that could be the case, but if you aren't careful, it could also not be the case. At most Disney World Resort hotels, your bus is going to go directly to and from your resort's singular bus stop, but there are a few hotels on Disney property that have multiple stops around because said hotels are huge. Resorts that have internal bus stops include Port Orleans Riverside with 3 stops, Saratoga Springs with 5 stops, Old Key West with 5 stops, Coronado has 4, and Caribbean Beach has 8. The internal bus stops are actually super useful because they help guests keep from having to cross large distances to get back to their room. But if you're not paying attention, then you might just get off at the first bus stop, and that stop's going to end up being on the far opposite side of where you're actually staying. The best thing you can do to make sure this doesn't happen to you is to stay alert. I know, hard to do on your way home after a long day in the parks on the bus. I'm usually sleeping. Once you know where your room is located, when you first check into your resort, track down the nearest bus stop. For example, let's say I was staying at Coronado Springs and my room is over in the Cabanas section. On my resort map, which you can pick up at the front desk or find online, I see that the closest bus stop to me is going to be bus stop number 4. So when I'm coming back home at the end of my park day, I'm not going to want to get off at bus stop 1 or 2 or 3. I'm going to want to stay on the bus until I reach stop 4, which could be clearly labeled as you pull up to it. Worst comes to worst, if you get off the bus and you're still all the way over on the opposite side of the resort from where your room is, you can always stay put and wait for another bus to come around and pick you up for take 2. All right, I'm super proud of you. You're being proactive and you're putting on that sunscreen before you start your day. Good for you. Now, what's even better, keep on reapplying that sunscreen every couple of hours to make sure it's still effective all day long. Okay, great. Yet, when the sun starts to set, you start getting uncomfortable. A scalding, hot, slightly itchy feeling. Wait a minute, how on earth did you still manage to get burned? Y'all, I can tell you how many times I've coated my shoulders, my legs, my face in sunscreen, and I've completely forgotten about the top of my head. And sometimes that's almost worse than the other spots, because if your sunburn starts peeling, it gets all flaky and trapped in your hair, and then you look like you have a really bad case of dandruff. Fortunately, there are some solutions for this. Number 1, wear a hat or carry a UV umbrella. You might prefer a hat to an umbrella if you don't want to lug an umbrella around with you, or you don't want to worry about your umbrella when you're going through security, since those tend to get flagged. It's not a major deal. You can just carry your umbrella outside your bag while you're walking through security, but sometimes folks forget and get pulled to the side for a more thorough bag check. That being said, a UV umbrella might also be the cooler, temperature-wise option in the long run, since hats can get kind of sweat-soaked after a while. Not to mention, if it starts to rain, then presto, you've got a nifty item on you that protects you from the sun and the showers. Solution number 2, use a translucent powder sunscreen for the top of your head. A lot of these powder sunscreens have originally been made to go on top of your makeup, which is also handy-dandy, but because these powders are nice and light and translucent, you can apply them to your scalp to keep it from cooking. Now, consider this one part 2 for the sunburn point. You can be the world's most proactive sun fighter backer, and you can keep refilling your water and staying hydrated, and you can wear nice breathable fabrics. You can stock up on the cooling fans and the cooling towels. You can do everything in your power to stay cool, and yet, you can still get overheated. This is Orlando, y'all. Those sunbeams are not going to play fair. Instead of keeping yourself out of the heat during these blistering times, take shelter and track down the AC. For example, over in Epcot, the Land Pavilion and the Seas with Nemo and Friends are both home to numerous attractions and activities that all take place indoors. You'll also find places throughout the World Showcase where you can get some nice, crisp, consistent air inside the shops and restaurants and show buildings. The new Communicore Hall is also a great place to chill, literally, over in the World Celebration area of the park. So this building, which will later become the heart of the Epcot festivals once they start up again, is a large air-conditioned space that's mainly empty, making it a solid option for weary, wooled travelers who need a space to escape the sun. Inside Magic Kingdom, both Tomorrowland and Fantasyland have lots of indoor attractions that guests can navigate between, plus several longish shows in Magic Kingdom provide the perfect opportunity to take a break from the heat, like Carousel of Progress, Filler Magic, the new Country Bear Musical Jamboree, and Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, not to mention Hall of Presidents. Meanwhile, at Hollywood Studios, things can get pretty sweltering, but you'll still be able to track down indoor options that'll give you that blast of cold air over in places like Star Tours, Toy Story Mania, Frozen Ever After Sing-Along, and those self-guided tours like Walt Disney Presents and Star Wars Launch Bay. That's a great one. Then there's Animal Kingdom, which has several ride queues that'll keep you out in the elements that you may not want to mess with when it's as hot can be, but good news, you can always choose to slip into one of those indoor shows instead. Festival of the Lion King or Finding Nemo, the Big Blue and Beyond, which are going to give you a solid 25 to 30 minutes of AC and incredible entertainment. Now, you're not like the other Disney guests. You're a cool Disney guest. You want to stand out. You want an outfit that makes other guests turn their heads and go, where did they get that? You want to be seen. Unfortunately, you're not the only person who feels that way, so you might pick out what you think is the perfect Disney outfit for your big day in, say, Animal Kingdom, only to find out that everyone else is wearing the same Hakuna Matata shirt that you're wearing. If you know, you know. So if you want a shirt that's going to be perfectly unique for your next Disney World trip, and you want to support your favorite YouTube channel, which is us, right? Okay, great. We've got just the kind of fits you're looking for over at dfbstore.com. So what are the latest designs you can find? We've got our bibbidi bobbidi bows that might just remind you of a few of your favorite princesses. We also have a villains version too. Yes, we do. The Midway Mania Champion shirt lets everyone know you mean business when it comes to those blaster games. And because we're already eager for Halloween season to start up again. Come on, I know a lot of y'all are in the same boat. We got Halloween shirts and tanks and sweatshirts that scream boo to you. And that's only a few of the many, many tees we've got available right now. Nikki and her team are putting together so many cool designs. So make sure to browse our wares and find the practically perfect attire for you and your whole family before you start packing your suitcase. All right, look in the mirror. You know who I see staring back? A winner, that's who. Now that you've reclaimed your victorious status on this lose-lose situation video, make sure to head over to disneyfoodblog.com/multipass so you can pick up that new Lightning Lane guide before you go on vacation. And don't forget to check out our other Disney Food Blog videos too, like the ones that'll help you get out of those flat-out uncomfortable situations that you might encounter while you're in the parks. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.